ABC 10 News at 4 starts now.
State leaders apologize for inaccurate coronavirus numbers. How many cases could be added to the state's total due to a malfunction at the top? And a Bankers Hill party house is shut down. The broken laws discovered when police knocked on the door. Plus,
and they were suffering from social isolation.
St. Augustine school leaders insist that distance learning does more harm than good. But first, neighbors watch as flames creep dangerously close to homes in Chula Vista. Good afternoon. I'm Kimberly Hunt, and firefighters used bulldozers and airdrops to stop it from spreading. The cleanup is still underway. The 10-acre fire broke out next to Heritage Road and Olympic Parkway this afternoon. ABC 10 News reporter Cassie Carlisle is there live. And Cassie, neighbors came out to make sure it was under control.
Kim, they did, and thankfully we're seeing the bulldozers come up out of the canyon over here and get ready to get back on the trucks. They're getting ready to open up Heritage Road here in just a couple minutes. You can see the smoke has gone away, and it's also really windy out here. That was the biggest concern as we're close to neighborhoods. Now, thankfully, firefighters got ahead of the blaze. The fire started around 12:30, charring 10 acres and creeping toward two Otay Ranch neighborhoods. Sky 10 was overhead watching 3 other helicopters knock down walls of flame. Thankfully, this time no homes burned and there were no injuries. The fire stopped spreading around 2 p.m. and neighbors were thankful to see that.
We've been hearing a lot of fire trucks and all that, so we figured that they're doing a good job of putting out the fires, and so far, I mean, they are,
Chula Vista Fire Captain Linda Diorsi told me that this is a great reminder of why defensible space is so important. She said that it's not too late to do it, and the best time to do it is in the morning before it gets too hot, before it becomes a fire hazard. Of course, they are still investigating the cause of the fire, but as a reminder, Heritage Road is closed between Main and Olympic. Reporting live here at Chula Vista, Cassie Carlisle, ABC 10 News.
Thank you, Cassie. And just in, state health officials are apologizing for technical issues that led to hundreds of thousands of coronavirus cases being underreported. Team 10 investigator Adam Rakusin was on the call when they promised change. Adam, despite the issues, the state says the trends that we're seeing are still remaining the same.
Yeah, Kim, they say that those case rates continue to follow the trend that we've been watching where it's slowly been decreasing. And this is just on case data. It has nothing to do with hospitalizations or deaths. That's reported to the state in a totally different way. According to the state, the data system that they used failed, and that led to inaccurate case numbers and case positivity rates. The failure prevented counties from having some of that data that they need to monitor and respond to the virus in local communities. Think of the ability to be able to contact trace. How do you do that if you don't know positive or negative cases? According to the state, about 2 weeks ago, a server outage created a delay in lab records coming into the reporting system. At that same time, the state realized they weren't getting data from one of the largest commercial reporting labs for about 5 days. Health and Human Services Secretary Dr. Mark Galley says the issues have been fixed.
We expect that over the next 24 to 48 hours, that the backlog that is between 250,000 and 300,000 records will be resolved, giving us a better sense of the total number of tests that were delayed. We are reporting these tests to the counties based on the date the specimen was collected, so we can attribute it to the appropriate date.
And the state says the system was not built for the volume of data that it's receiving. It's putting new systems in place and created a backup system to double check that data and reports. The state says it did freeze the county monitoring list going back about a week at this point. So all of the decision making that they've been doing in the past week has nothing to do with that county monitoring list. It didn't affect or impact those decisions. The governor says that Dr. Galley says that the governor has called for an investigation into what happened. Reporting live from La Mesa tonight, Adam Rakusin, ABC 10 News.
Great job. Thank you, Adam. And financial help for millions of Americans is on hold after negotiations on Capitol Hill fell apart. Democrats and Trump administration officials were unable to reach a deal today over the next coronavirus relief bill. No additional discussions are now planned after nearly 2 weeks of meetings. Lead White House negotiators are recommending the president sign a series of executive orders to help struggling Americans. And tonight we're hearing directly from leaders of a San Diego high school that's taking on the state over in-person classes this fall. St. Augustine in North Park is the latest in a string of schools and businesses filing lawsuits over coronavirus restrictions. ABC 10 News reporter Jennifer De La Cruz explains why they say they're ready to reopen safely.
A lawsuit filed Thursday by St. Augustine High School taking aim at Governor Gavin Newsom over how schools will reopen in fall. The school sending us this video from President Ed Hearn making that announcement to families.
The board of directors, by a 15-1 vote, made the decision to file a lawsuit against the state of California to get our boys back in their seats.
The lawsuit filed by the school and 7 families claims online learning has negative effects on students' education, social and emotional development.
We know that our students were starting to suffer towards the end of the school year, and they were suffering from social isolation.
It argues that if grocery stores and childcare can reopen, schools should be able to open in person too. St. Augustine says they successfully held summer and athletic programs for more than 400 students. In addition to enforcing masks and social distancing, they installed UV lights to sanitize the air inside classrooms and are frequently disinfecting surfaces. Hearn says throughout that 6-week summer program, they did not have a single case of COVID-19 reported.
We have great confidence that when we open in the fall, we have learned a great deal about how to run a very safe environment here at the school.
The suit joins a growing list of schools and companies suing the state over pandemic-related restrictions. On July 30th, a San Diego hairstylist joins an existing lawsuit by business owners fighting to continue indoor operations. On July 21st, parents from San Diego and LA County filed a joint suit fighting for in-person learning to resume in fall. Classes at St. Augustine are scheduled to start on August 25th.
Saints needs to get back to face-to-face, heart-to-heart teaching.
Jennifer De La Cruz, ABC 10 News.
St. Augustine tells us if families don't feel comfortable sending their children back to school, they do have an option to continue online learning.
Students are allowed to go back to class in New York. Governor Cuomo gave the all clear today for at least some in-person learning, citing a drop in infection rates. However, he did say officials will keep an eye on the numbers between now and the start of the school year. If infection rates spike again, the governor says they will revisit plans. The U.S. added 1.8 million jobs in July, which is considered a sharp slowdown from June. Back then, there were more than 4 million jobs added. Today, the economy is still down about 13 million jobs. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says the unemployment rate sits at 10.2%. An alarming prediction today about coronavirus numbers. Researchers say COVID deaths in the U.S. could reach 300,000 by December. They say about 70,000 lives could be saved, though, if more people consistently wore masks.
It's an extraordinary opportunity. It's rare that you see something so simple, so inexpensive, so easy for everybody to participate in, can have such an extraordinary impact in the U.S., but also all over the world.
Several big cities continue to see a troubling spike in coronavirus cases.
In Bankers Hill, an Airbnb rental was just shut down by the city for violating COVID-19 health orders and nearly 24 other laws. ABC 10 News reporter Jared Aarons is in Bankers Hill, where neighbors call it the party house.
People who live in this neighborhood say there are parties and noise coming from behind this fence and these hedges almost all the time. In fact, they say there was one just on Thursday. The city police department has received more than a dozen noise complaints from this house just since coronavirus restrictions began back in March. Here's the home's listing on Airbnb. It goes for around $900 per night and says up to 12 people can stay here. In addition to the coronavirus concerns, the city attorney says the owner and managers of this house completely renovated it without permits, illegally adding things like extra bedrooms, bathrooms, a pool, and a jacuzzi. The charges also say the owner never got the proper business license to operate a vacation rental here and hasn't been paying any of the rental taxes or the water and sewer bills. There was a family that was staying here this morning. They've checked out and said they were shocked to hear about all of these charges.
Everybody in this neighborhood is going to be popping some champagne tonight, believe me.
Meanwhile, we've tried reaching out to the owner and the manager. They haven't returned our calls. In Bankers Hill, Jared Aarons, ABC 10 News.
And right now, we're following breaking news out of India. At least 16 people were killed when an airplane skidded off the runway and split in two. The flight landed in heavy rain. It overshot the runway and fell 35 feet into a valley. 190 people were on board. Nearly 100 are injured. The Air India Express flight had just arrived in that area from Dubai.
New York's Attorney General is trying to break up the NRA over allegations of mismanagement and abuse of member money. A law professor who specializes in the Second Amendment says that this is just the start. Adam Winkler says the legal battle could go for another year or two. Now, if the NRA dissolves, at that point, it would have a huge impact on American politics, but it doesn't mean the end of the gun debate.
What happens is the resources of the NRA would be distributed in a way that is designed to match the donor's intent. And that means that money would go to gun rights organizations and would go to organizations that are fighting against gun control in most circumstances.
Winkler says the NRA dissolving isn't the only potential outcome. The AG is also seeking less drastic repercussions like removing certain in-house lawyers or board members. Now, that includes Wayne LaPierre. He's the executive vice president. We don't know yet exactly what evidence there is, but Winkler says the AG's case has at least one advantage. The NRA's former PR firm, Ackerman McQueen, is cooperating.
And so the Attorney General is going to have on her side an insider who's seen everything that's happened in the NRA for the last 3 decades. I think the NRA is in big trouble.
He says the lawsuit could also impact the November election by energizing pro-gun voters looking to support the NRA and the GOP. Winkler says it's also likely to mean less NRA spending compared to 2016.